Good morning, friends. It is Brian from Pruitt Homestead. Today we're going to be canning zipper peas. About 2 weeks ago we finished harvesting and shelling all of the zipper peas. We simply put them in the freezer until we had time to get them canned. And today's the day. Y'all hang out and relax, and we're going to can some zipper peas. A couple of weeks ago, we returned from the Homesteaders of America Conference in Front Royal, Virginia. We met a lot of really amazing people. Two of the people that we met were very encouraging, right? We've talked about for a long time a shortage on canning lids. Well, there's two new producers of canning lids in the market, and we believe that they're probably producing the best lids available. One is ForJars. They were very kind and gave us some lids to try out. And then we also met the folks from Superb Canning Lids. And we bought some of their lids, and we decided, hey, the next canning project that we have, let's do a comparison. Let's see how they do. Let's see how they stand up to pressure canning. And so here we are. We are canning some field peas. We're going to be using what's called the raw pack method for canning these peas. We're going to get some water boiling. We're going to put our peas in the jars, and then we'll put the hot water over them, debubble them, put a lid on, put a ring on, and we're going to can them in our pressure canner. The first thing we're going to do is fill our clean, sterilized jars with our peas. My hands are clean, and more importantly, folks, this is really a biggie that got me started in growing my own food and learning to preserve my own food. What I know is my hands are the only hands that have touched all of this, right? The jars, the peas, the funnel. The industrialized process of preserving food leaves a lot of questions, is the way I feel about it. And I feel safer knowing that my hands are the only hands that have touched my food. So is that all of the food that we consume? The truth is no. We still buy some stuff from the grocery store. I like to tap the peas, right? Really anything that I put in a canning jar, if you'll tap it down, it will it'll close up the amount of airspace that's in there. Canning has been a way of life for me for a really, really long time. Now, I did depart from it for, I don't know, probably 30 years. As I was being a young adult, right, we seek out convenience over what's appropriate. And so I had to go through that in my life as well. I'm sure a lot of people, my children specifically, These peas were frozen. We still have a few frozen pieces. We'll thaw that out shortly. You know, my children are going through that phase of life right now, where convenience and anything but focusing on this variety of peas is called Crowder peas. Crowder peas are what country folk refer to as a white liquor pea. And I can show you, let me show you the difference. I'm going to go grab a couple of jars and I want to show you the difference between a dark liquor pea and a white liquor pea. These are peas that we canned a couple of years ago. 2 years ago we grew pink eye purple hull peas, and then about 3 years ago we grew zipper peas. And you can see there's a drastic difference between those two types of field peas, and it's obvious. A dark liquor pea makes a brown water, whereas a white liquor pea creates a very light water. And there is a drastic difference in the flavor between a white liquor pea and a dark liquor pea. I love them both, but sometimes you have a craving for a dark liquor pea, and that's when I grab a jar of pink eye purple hull peas. Pink eye purple hull peas is the pea that we grew when I was a kid. It was my father's favorite dark liquor pea. There are a lot of different varieties of dark liquor peas out there, but pink eye purple hull was the one that we grew, and it's the one that I'm going to continue to grow. There is what's called a Crowder pea, which is very similar, or a cow pea, which is very similar to a zipper pea. It's a larger pea, and it does produce a dark liquor, but I do prefer the pink eye purple hull peas here at Pruitt Homestead. Here at Pruitt Homestead, we believe preserving food is just as important of a skill as growing food. And that's why pressure canning is so important to us. It gives us security for times in the future that we don't know about. Right? I think right now probably having food security is of the utmost importance to our society. And so many people don't even understand what that means. So for us here at Pruitt Homestead, food security is vitally important because we have made the commitment to reduce the amount of money we spend at the grocery store. So in order for us to have what we need, we have to be the producer, the packer, the preserver, and the storage house for what we grow. And that's really what it's all about. You become all of those things to yourself. You're literally making a long-term investment into your own household, as opposed to depending on others in the community, better yet in the world, for your sustenance. You know, I make videos about canning with the hopes that it helps somebody in the world not be afraid of the process of growing your own food and preserving it. It's also my hope that this will allow a legacy within my own family to be created. This will be a permanent record of the process that maybe one of my family members, after I'm gone, can refer to and have confidence that they can provide for themselves. A real truth in America right now is that our children lack confidence in their parents. And I find it to be true that the world has created that and has perpetuated that in our children's lives. The world's voice is so much louder than the parental voice that the world voice has become the dominant for our children. And I believe, and my prayer is that that will change for our kids. You need about 2 inches of water in the bottom of your pressure canner. Pressure canning does not require that you cover the jars up. As a matter of fact, you don't want to cover the jars up. This is the older of the 2 All-American pressure canners that I own. This pressure canner I bought at the auction here, and I believe I paid $7 for that All-American pressure canner. There are thousands of All-American pressure canners sitting in closets and attics all over America. You just got to keep your eye out for them, and you can find great deals. The All-American pressure canner is a metal-on-metal seal, and it is recommended from time to time that you use a little petroleum jelly on that seal on both sides. And so that's what we're going to do today. It's been a while since I have put any seasoning on this seal, on this rim. And like I said, you don't have to do it every time. Maybe every 10th time that you use your canner, put a little petroleum jelly on there, and that's going to help clean that surface and ensure that you have a very good seal. Just a little bit of petroleum jelly right here on the rim. You don't have to put a heavy layer, just a nice light layer of petroleum jelly all the way around so that you can just feel it, just so that your fingers glide on that metal without resistance. Now that we have our peas in our jars, we're going to add salt to the jars. The recommendation is for quarts, a teaspoon of salt. These are pints, so we're going to do a half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon. All right? Half a teaspoon right there. The salt I'm using is Redmond's. You can use canning salt, you can use kosher salt, you can use pink Himalayan salt. The greatest recommendation is to not use iodized salt. That will cause you problems, so don't do that. Redmond's salt is our everyday salt that we use. We don't use iodized salt anymore. Redmond's is a mineral salt. That's that. We've got our salt in our jars. Now we're going to get over here and start putting water into the jars and get them loaded into the canner. Let's take a couple of minutes and let's chat about what we see in the lids that we're going to be using. Again, we have ForJars. If you're not familiar with ForJars, take a look online. We'll put a link in the description below to their website. You can go check them out, read about them, and even place an order with them. So there's 100 lids in a package. They have sealed them in smaller packages. Let's see what we look like here. The seal looks like the same seal that we've been dealing with for a lot of years. This seal looks pretty good. Let's see if we can get you in the light a little bit better. Find a good spot. That looks pretty good. This looks like the standard seal that we've dealt with for a lot of years on the ball canning jars. Let me grab one of those lids. This is a ball canning lid, right? And this is the ForJars lid. You can see there is a difference in the color. When I compare the thickness, I don't really feel a difference. The twist test compared to the ball, very similar. Let's grab a Superb lid and see what that looks like. Superb uses a blue seal. The seal feels much thicker. The twist test, probably the same as the ball or the ForJars lid. The Superb has nothing on top, no writing. And you can also see there is no dimple in that lid, whereas the ForJars, you can see clearly there is a dimple here that will pull down when the seal is completed. When we look at the ball lid, you can see the ball lid also has that dimple, right? You can see it right there in the light. That is the ForJars lid, and this is the Superb lid. Let's see what Superb says we're using. It says more sealing power designed to prevent buckling, safe for high pressure canning, FDA compliant, BPA free, 5 layers of corrosion protection, and they're talking about the white coating on here. That helps keep it from rusting. And then it says pop lock assurance, distinctive popping sound, ensures seal, more vacuum, longer lasting seal. Let's look at ForJars. It says those are instructions. It doesn't give us a whole lot of fluff. So ForJars does recommend that you simmer your lids. So we're going to take that recommendation. We are going to put on a pot of water, and we will put our lids in a pot of boiling water just to soften the rubber. We don't want to do anything outside of the recommendation that's on the box. So we will boil some water. I'm looking on the box of the Superb lids. They don't have any instructions. They do have canning tips. Okay, let me read this to you. It says, tight but not too tight. It says, when tightening the ring prior to canning, it's important to tighten it but not make it too tight, because over tightening the ring will not allow the jar to seal properly. It says the 3-finger method, an easy way to ensure the ring is tight but not too tight is using the 3-finger method, right? Shown below, using only 3 fingers prevents you from over tightening the ring. They do not make a recommendation for simmering your lids. But listen to me, folks. Our food preservation is extremely important to us. This is long-term storage for us here at Pruitt Homestead. So we're not going to fool around, even though the recommendation is not there. I've never used this lid. I'm going to go ahead and simmer it, and we'll see how that works out for us. Because I want to make sure that I'm getting a good seal. If I don't get a good seal, then there's a possibility of my canning to go south on me. I do want to add that the ForJars canning lids did include a small piece of paper with instructions on using their lids. So there is no question about how to use them. It says wash the jars and lids and bands. Place the lids in boiling water to help achieve a vacuum seal. It says check the headspace, remove the bubbles, check the jar for cracks. Thoroughly wipe the jar rim with vinegar. Apply bands until finger tight and process it. He says it says after processing, let the jars cool for 24 hours before you remove the band. That's important, and I'm so glad they put it in there. Superb lids. There were no instructions. There are no instructions. So we're going to use best canning methods that we have used for years and years and years, and that's what is going to give us direction. Using a canning funnel, we're going to fill these up with hot water. We've already put our salt in there. And you want to leave 1-inch headspace for field peas. After you fill it with water, I'm going to use a chopstick. We're going to debubble and add more water if we need it. Debubbling is important because if there is air trapped inside of the jar, that could affect our seal. Now that we have the water in, we're going to wipe the rim of the jar. So we want to make sure there's no foreign material on the ring or on the rim of the jar. I just use water. Some people use vinegar. It's totally up to you. I've used water my whole life. Here is one of our lids. This is a superb lid. It looks like it lines up well. We'll put our ring on. And the ForJars are superb. Recommended 3 fingers, right? So we have 3 fingers. Tighten it down. You can't tighten more than what those 3 fingers can do. That's what they're talking about, a 3-finger tight. That's how that works. Now we'll put our lid on our canner. All American pressure canners have an arrow that you line up. Because this is such an old canner, somebody marked it with red so that they knew exactly where the arrow was. I guess it was a little difficult to see. Probably a grandmother with some eyes that just are getting a little tired. So she put a little bit of red on there so that she can see where to line up her arrow. We will put the lid on and tighten down our lugs. It is my opinion that the All-American pressure canner is absolutely the best canner money can buy. And I am so thankful that I have 2 of them. Just like you would do the lugs on your car, alternate tightening these down so that you make sure you got a nice good seal. Now we're going to turn up the heat and we will wait for it to begin to vent. We'll let it vent for 10 minutes before we put our weight on, and then we will let it pressure can. Alright friends, the pressure has come down on our canner. We can verify that by taking the weight off, and there's no steam coming out. That's hot, by the way. That weight is really hot, so be careful with that. Loosen your lugs. And when you open your pressure canner, keep that lid away from you. Don't open and turn it towards you, because the steam that's going to come out of there is going to be really hot. So keep that turned away from you like that. And we have our beautiful peas. Friends, that is it for canning our zipper peas. Everything is sealed up. Everything looks good. The Superb lid sealed. It looks fine. The ForJars lid sealed. It looks great. I have made my choice of where I want to spend my money right now, and it's with ForJars. The features and the details that they put in with their jars was far superior to what Superb did. The fact that they included the instructions inside the package as well as on the side of the box to make sure that their consumers didn't make a mistake with how to use their product, I felt like that was really important. Some of the features of the lid itself with the dimple, so that I'm assured that that jar is sealed. That's a winner for me. Folks, that's it for canning zipper peas. You can can zipper peas also, any kind of field pea. Just follow the instructions that I gave you in the video. And go out and buy ForJars canning lids. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Thank you for being a part of the canning community. I believe you have a good product, and I look forward to what you're going to do in the future.